So it is Thanksgiving break at Bearly Homesteading, and this week we're going to be working on Christmas presents. Alright, welcome to Bearly Homesteading. As I've mentioned in earlier videos, we like to do homemade Christmas presents where we can at Bearly Homesteading, and this year we asked each of the kids to make at least one present for someone else in the family. And so I got Engineer Bear here, and he's going to work on his Christmas present for Sporty Bear. And what are you making for Sporty Bear?
Baseball throwing practice.
Okay, he wants to make a replica of a strike zone so that Sporty Bear can practice his baseball pitching. And so that's what we're going to work on today. So this is going to be a fairly simple design. We've got a piece of 1/2-inch pressure treated plywood. We're going to cut the strike zone out of this, and then we're going to attach it to some 2x4s to make a stand, an easel, that this will be able to stand up. And if we have enough time, we will make some adjustable legs for the easel so we can move that strike zone up and down as Sporty Bear gets older and is dealing with larger and larger people in baseball. Okay, so we got the strike zone cut out. We're going to attach this to our 2x4s to make that stand, and then we'll see where we are. This is an 8-foot long pressure treated 2x4. We're going to cut it in half. We're going to do it again on another one, so we'll end up with 4 4-foot long pieces. All right, now we're going to cut the back for the strike zone, and this is so that the ball doesn't keep going after it goes through the strike zone hole. All right, so we're putting the back on here, and we're doing this in pieces so that we can leave some gaps for the wind to be able to blow through. That way it's less likely to blow over in the wind. So we're here with Engineer Bear, and we're going to finish up his project. We just need a couple more boards to brace behind the cutout for the strike zone. All right, so we are done at least enough to be able to give this to Sporty Bear. We've talked, and Engineer Bear says that he would like to put a ramp on the bottom so that as the balls hit the backstop here, they'll drop down, and then the ramp will roll them out front just to make it gathering the balls a little easier. So we will try to do that another day. Okay, here we are with Engineer Bear, and we're going to be putting on the ramp for his what are we calling this?
Baseball practice, maybe? I don't know.
So we're putting the ramp on his baseball pitching target. So the idea is that we're going to put this board on here with some hinges so that it sits on the ground down here. And as the balls come through and hit this, they'll drop down, hit the ramp, and then roll out rather than, coming and then rolling backwards. So let's cut this to size, and then we should be able to just attach the hinges.
Look good. It also looks pretty good too.
It'll be like that. And then that. And there we go. Not bad. All right, so here I've got Sporty Bear, and he's going to be working on his Christmas present to his sisters. And do you want to tell him what you're doing?
I'm going to be building a shelf, maybe like a bookshelf or a shelf for the toys so they can make more room.
Yep. So we're gonna be making a bookshelf to hang on the wall, and that's gonna do a couple of things. Like Sporty Bear said, it's gonna help clean up the room a little bit. It's also going to keep Baby Bear out of the books, at least Little Miss Independence books. And so we're going to start by doing a glue up. I've got 5 boards here, and after we glue these up, we'll be able to cut them into the 4 shelves of the bookshelf, and then we'll have to do another glue up later this week for the sides. Okay, so we got the glue up going. Now there's been some talk about biscuit jointers on YouTube recently, and how they may not be the greatest tool out there. I, however, think that for imperfect boards like we had here, biscuit jointer works out really well to do glue ups, because we're able to align the boards to each other and take out some of the imperfections, the bow or the twist. And my experience has been that I can get actually very good glue ups with pretty bad wood sometimes with a biscuit jointer. So in this circumstance, I can highly recommend a biscuit jointer. And so we're going to let this dry, and then probably won't get back to it today. Maybe tomorrow we'll get out here and be able to cut this up into our shelves and get the sides gluing. We'll have to see.
Yeah.
We got the clamps off of Sporty Bear's project for the shelves, and now I need to come through and plane this, get rid of the ridges from the glue up, and then we'll do a rough sand so that we can kind of see which side of the boards we want to use. Okay, so we got the planing and the sanding done on this, and it looks pretty good. There's a few defects here and there. Hopefully, as we cut this into the shelves, we'll be able to cut out those defects. As soon as Sporty Bear gets out and is free, we will cut this into shelves, and then we will do the glue up for the sides. All right, so we're going to do the glue up for the sides now. Okay, so we've got the glue up for the sides drying, and we will probably be able to get to this tomorrow and start cutting up all of these, and we may actually get the shelf glued up tomorrow. We'll see. Okay, so we are ready to cut these into the shelves. We're going to cut this large board in half, and then on each side we're going to cut out 2 shelves. So we want a 9-inch, an 8-inch, a 7-inch, and a 6-inch shelf, because we're going to do a step ladder bookshelf. So first thing is to get this cut in half, and then we can rip them to the right widths. Here is the shelf that Sporty Bear made for the girls for Christmas, full of books and being well used.
For Christmas, Miss Independent wanted to make a purse for Baby Bear. So this is what we are doing. She chose this fabric for the outside of the purse, and this fabric to make a nice soft liner inside. What we did at first is we cut out a nice big rectangle in each fabric for the same size. We sewed the outside one, we kind of folded it up, and then we left a flap here that we'll be able to close down to make a flap for the purse. And so that's the size it's going to be. We just kind of measured a size, and you can do it any size you want. Now we also cut out 2 long strips that were each 2 inches wide. And we just measured. They're going to kind of go over the shoulder like this so that she can then wear the purse. Now Miss Independent did a seam on each of those and then turned them right side out, so we've got our strap done. Now we've got this outside piece done, and now she's going to sew the inside piece. So we're going to show you what we did with those rectangles. So we've got the outside, or the inside facing out, and she's going to go ahead and start sewing. Okay, so Miss Independent finished sewing those two sides together. Now, normally, we would turn it right side out like we did with this one. But because this is actually a liner that's going inside, we want the nice side, the pretty one with no seams, on the inside. Because what we do is we slide this down into the outer shell, if you have trouble getting it inside, maybe make the inside one just a tiny bit smaller, because when they get seams, they do tend to get a little bit tighter, even though we cut them the exact same size. So now we have the pretty outside, and then inside we have a soft, seamless inside that looks nice. What we're going to do for the next step, we don't want the inside getting pulled out every time Baby Bear gets toys in or out. So we need to make sure these two pieces stick together. So what we're going to do, would you like to tell them? Okay.
So you're gonna stitch this.
Really loud, they can't hear you.
They're gonna stitch this part to right here.
Okay. We're going to do a little bit of sewing right on the seam, and we'll probably do this by hand just because it'll be easier than trying to fix that seam into the sewing machine without getting it sewn to the bottom. It doesn't need to be fancy. It doesn't need to be a whole lot. You could just do a couple little stitches here, 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 4 or 5 spots up the seam. Do it right in the seam so it's hardly visible, and that way the inside liner is attached to the outside shell and they won't be easily pulled apart. Now when you do that, I want you to leave about 1 inch loose at the top. Don't do a little stitch right at the top. Leave about 1 inch before you do your first stitch, because we're going to need that little bit loose for our next step, and we will explain that when we get there. Alright, so the next piece of this purse is, we told you to leave these flaps, give a little bit of extra room on the seams, and that is because we are folding the flaps together. You fold the bottom one over like this, and then you fold the top one down, so only the good side is showing, and then you pin them together, which I can't do one-handed, but you can see I've done it over here. Pin them together and all around the edge, and then you just stick it in the sewing machine and sew all around the edge, which sews those two seams together quite nicely like this without having raw ends sticking out. And then the next thing you do is you take the handle, and we won't have these pins here. You just attach the handle, get the end of it, and just sew it on right, stick it right on the outside, pin it on the outside, and just sew a little square right around it. And then do the other end, loop it all the way around. Make sure you get it nice and straight so it's not twisted all the way around the handle, and then you sew the other end over on this side. And then your purse is done, and that's it.
Do you have a phone in your purse?
What else do you keep in your purse?
Do you have anything else in your purse? Oh, who's that? A princess?
Ariel.
Ariel.